In this video, we're going to be interviewing Ernesto Barrientos, who is a partner with me in our digital marketing agency. And I wanted to bring him on because he's going to be going over working with virtual assistants, and we're going to get into it. I'm going to ask him some questions about what he recommends for you guys in regards to that and bring you some good tips. So Ernesto, let's start off with, if you want to tell everybody a little bit about your experience between us and then even with working with virtual assistants.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I don't like to call them virtual assistants. I like to call them remote workers, okay? Because in AGM, we have a lot of remote workers and we make them feel like they're part of the family, not just like a contractor worker that does some work for us, right? But what is a virtual assistant is basically somebody that works for your company remotely through their computer. Usually they're at their house in another side of the world. Most of our virtual assistants or remote workers are in the Philippines, and the purpose of a virtual assistant is that you save a lot of money and they also make good money and they have an opportunity of making money. And even though you would pay somebody way less than somebody hired in the US, they're making a lot more money than what they would make in their country. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, we're gonna get into more details about like the pay and stuff like that. But how long have you been working with remote workers, virtual assistants, different names, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're just part of the team, so they're just team members, right? But I want to be specific about this because there's people that are looking specifically for answers for just working with virtual assistants far away, not in the office. So anyways, can you tell us a little bit about your experience about working with them? Because I know you have like years of experience on this.
Yes, let's just refer to them as virtual assistants or VA because that's the known name.
VAs, yeah.
VA, right? Virtual assistant. So it all started back in 2015 when my business partner, our business partner here at AGM, Manuel Suarez, CEO of AGM Marketing, we started an Amazon business. We had a full-time job. We were actually working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then we were managing our Amazon business from 9 p.m. to midnight, okay?
So it was your side hustle?
That was our side hustle, yeah. I was selling bed sheets on the side of the road. Manuel said, let's grab your bed sheets, send them to Amazon and start selling them there. So we started expanding very fast, but it got to a point that we were going to bed at 1, 2 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. And Manuel was always learning, listening to podcasts, reading books, learning. He called me one day and said, Ernesto, we need a VA. And I said, what the hell is a VA? Virtual assistant. And he was, what? What do you mean? We're going to hire somebody on the other side of the world that we don't know? That's absolutely crazy. And he said, well, learn about it and then let's bring one. So I started learning about it.
That's funny though, because I had the same like reaction when I first started working with you, and then you're like, no, we're gonna get you a virtual assistant to start helping. No way. What? Somebody across the world is gonna be starting to help me. So it's funny, like a lot of people have the same reaction.
Exactly. So I got with a company that they were hiring for virtual assistants, and they're actually called 247va.com. So we used them to hire our first VA, virtual assistant, and he was sitting on his bed. First, he was working his day, our night, okay, because they're 12 hours ahead. So from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. our time, 9 a.m., 5 p.m. his time, okay? So we would jump on a Zoom call. We would go over what he was going to be working over for the following 8 hours. And then I would go to bed around 1 a.m. and he would keep working. It took a lot of training, obviously, but that's how we got started. And he got the momentum so fast that about a month later, Manuel said, Jay, that's his name. He's still with us here after about 6 years. Jay, we need more people like you. And he brought on another 4 people that month.
Yeah, he referred like all his friends. So what I want to know is like, what kind of job did you give him? What did he start off doing? And just in general, what kind of jobs would you recommend that you would look for somebody that's a VA to be helping you with?
Okay, well, first of all, back then, Manuel was doing all of the marketing for Amazon, and I was doing all of the inventory tracking. We had over 1,000 products, 1,000 variations, because bed sheets, you have one type of bed sheet, 20 different colors, 7 different sizes. So that's what 140 variations, just one type of bedsheet, right? So
We promise never to do math on this video again.
many variations and inventory and running out of stock and sending shipments to Amazon and following up on the shipments. So a lot of inventory management. And then also he was helping me with registering and following up with the sales tax for all the states. Back then on Amazon, you had to register with a bunch of states for the sales tax. But probably about 2 to 3 weeks into it, I kept raving about Jay to Manuel. I said, this guy is very smart. I barely knew how to use a Google spreadsheets, PowerPoint, any of that. And this guy, Jay, he showed me all of these things. So I told that to Manuel. Manuel grabbed them really fast, started teaching him about Amazon PPC, listing optimization, and all the good stuff, and he was able to cut up right away, and ever since then he's been a genius at all this stuff.
So he didn't have any experience with the Amazon PPC or experience with any of the actual jobs that you gave him from the start. You guys had to train him on everything pretty much. Interesting.
Yeah. He was a customer service representative, and we made him into a marketer.
So that's interesting. But now what I can add to that is because I have now years of experience as well, hiring and training and working with VAs from different countries and whatnot. So what I could say is that it's gotten so normal and popular to hire out virtually that there is so much talent out there. You can look for people that already know about Google PPC or SEO or WordPress or graphics design, video editors, copywriting, data entry, phone sales. Like you literally can find somebody to do anything remotely and virtually for you. And the rates, the pay is going to vary differently depending on the country and of course the skill level that you're out to look for. So can you give us any ideas, Ernesto, on how to hire these virtual assistants or where to look for help and VAs to help you in your business?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we initially started with 247va.com, and they're good, even though they take a cut, okay? They keep about, I don't know how much, but they keep a few dollars per hour, but they can manage your VAs, okay? If they need specific basic training on something, they can train them, and they also make sure they log in on time, they're not slacking around, they do a daily report, so they help you with that.
So I have a question. Are they working for 24/7 VA or are they working for you?
They're working for 24/7 VA, you pay 24/7 VA, and they pay the virtual assistant. We outgrew that very fast because we keep very close contact with our staff. So very fast, we started just hiring people and monitoring them and managing them. We did not need an outside company to manage our virtual assistants.
And what do you think about the website onlinejobs.ph?
That is our number one source of hiring. That and obviously referrals through our own staff members. But onlinejobs.ph is really good. You place an ad, you get a bunch of leads, you contact them, and then you just hire them.
Yeah, so it's not your typical hiring cycle, I would say. You could do different things. So like you post an ad, just like you would on Indeed or another website like that. And then you can have people either send you a video, so to show you proof. You can ask them if let's say you're trying to hire like a video editor or a graphics designer, you can tell them to send you, your portfolio. You don't have to have a resume and things like that.
Even though most of them do.
Yeah, that's right. Most of them do, and you can grab that. But to me, I like to know exactly what kind of work you're going to be doing and presenting. And the best way for that is just either give me a video showing that you know how to do it or send me some sort of proof from your previous work and things like that. So onlinejobs.ph. The PH is for Philippines. So most of the workers you're going to find on this website, 99% are going to be Filipinos, which they have great English skills. We just had so much good success with
A lot of the people in the Philippines speak English, decent English. They're very loyal and they're pretty tech savvy. That country, they learn computers from a young age more than most other countries. And also the average salary in the Philippines is pretty low compared to other countries.
Yeah, that's another really good point there. So depending on what skill you're trying to hire out for, I mean, you can find people that offer their own price on the websites. I've seen it as low as $1.50 per hour, US dollars. Average, I would say maybe $3 somewhere around there. And then I've seen it a little bit higher too, but it's all up to you. And you can also start part-time, hire somebody for only 20 hours. Maybe you hire somebody for 40 hours if you need somebody full-time, you know? So that's all up to you. A couple other websites that you guys can look into is Fiverr. So that's probably one that you've heard of before. And we've found people that we've bought some gigs from them and they turned into virtual assistants or full-time staff. And then also another website is Upwork.com. So there's a lot of freelancers on there that you can start off with on a project per project basis. And then if they're really good and you both work well with each other, then you just turn them into full-time staff. So is there any kind of tools or anything that you use on your day-to-day to manage the, because they're at a distance, they're not here in your office, right? So that adds another challenge to working with people virtually. So any kind of tools, any tips that you can give us?
Absolutely. This is actually very important because you cannot blame it on the staff. Obviously, there's all levels of people and production and ethics and honesty and work discipline, etc., right? So you want to hire good staff. But like anything, any business, especially if you're working with somebody on the other side of the country, I would say 50%, if not more, 75% of the work performance is going to depend on you as the business owner or as their manager, their senior, right? How do you manage them and what tools to use in order to manage them? How do you give them good directions, etc.? So one of the things that we use for time tracking is Time Doctor. And this, when they log in, they just log in and it starts recording their time and they choose what project they're working on. So at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you can see how much time they spend on each project or on each client, depending on their position in your company. And it also, you can set it up that it takes screenshots every 3 minutes or every minute or every 10 minutes. You can also set it up actually every 3 minutes, it records for 30 seconds. So there's all these type of things, which the purpose of this is not so much because we might think they're stealing or not working, but it's mainly to put discipline. So they don't even think about clocking in and going to sleep, right? So if you have that discipline there, that ethics channels, then they're more likely to be working. In the past, they had a feature that it would take a picture of them every minute, right? To make sure
like with their camera?
Yeah, with the camera, you would take a picture of them. They took it off. I don't know, maybe it was too much, but
Invasion of privacy,
but that was in order to prevent from someone else going in there and working instead of them. But anyway, they took that feature off.
Yeah, so that's actually a good, interesting point you make there. We've had it in the past. Here's some tips on like the ways that people have cheated or circumvented us. So one of the ways, they'll hire somebody else to come in remotely and work for them. And then they're like, it turns out they were outsourcing the work and we didn't want that in the end. And we weren't even getting the quality of work we wanted. Maybe if we did get the quality of work, different story. But anyways, that was one thing. And then another thing was...
they call them shadowers. At some point, I found out that a couple of our staff, this was about 3 years ago, had some shadowers that they were paying them $1 an hour to do the work. We had to create a company policy, no shadowers allowed in AGM.
There's other softwares that they buy which simulates your mouse moving, because one of the things Time Doctor checks for is that your mouse is moving around, and there's softwares that just do that for them. Or, there's all kinds of ways that people will definitely try to cheat. Maybe they have multiple jobs. That's another thing that I even had a concern with. I don't anymore, honestly. Like, as long as you are working with them and you're getting the products that you want out of them, that, let's say it's a video, like if they're giving you enough videos, that they're doing their job and they're working for you. But if everything starts to slow down a lot, that's a sign that they've probably are taking on multiple people trying to make more money per hour in that way, more like a freelancer. And what we look for is more like a staff that works only with us as our virtual assistants, dedicated to our company, not trying to juggle different companies throughout the day. So that's for checking in on them. That's the software. What about if like for working with them and communications and maybe any type of organization tools or softwares or anything that you recommend?
Yeah, well, we used to use Basecamp for project management. That was really good. Now, as you know, we have our own software that we created for AGM, but I love Basecamp because you just write down the tasks, the projects, the tasks, and they just work on it. They make notes, they can upload files, documents, evidence, etc. And then you can always log in and see what projects they're working on. That one's really good. For communication, which in AGM, we're in communication all day. I was telling you about Jay, our first virtual assistant, that he was working 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Philippine time. It was overnight here in the US. We changed that. A few months after we started with him, we changed that and we said, you need to work your night, our morning. So they clock in here at 9 a.m., leave at 5 p.m. And there's been a few people that really want to work with us and they cannot do their night schedule. Unfortunately, we cannot accept them because this is very important. So that being said, now that they're working our time, Eastern Standard Time, we use Ring Central to be in communication with them directly, or we have group chats. Group chats for either a team, like video editors team, copywriters team, graphic designers team, etc. Or you can also do group chats for any specific client. And you have your account manager, the copywriter, the video editor that works with that specific client, and you just communicate about that specific subject. So that works really good.
Yeah, so that's like if you're on the next level now and you're building out your whole team virtually and, you know, you're up to maybe 10, 20. How many staff do we have?
Well, remote, we have about 55 remote.
So at this point, very good to say that, you know, we have a good handling on working with remote staff. And so the tips that Ernesto was talking about now, that's the way that we've been able to best manage everyone in all the projects. But let's just say you have just one, you're just working with one VA. You could do Messenger, or you could do Skype, WhatsApp, you know, some sort of a messenger service that allows you to just stay in communication with them during your work hours. One thing we recommend is if you're not going to do, let's say, a time doctor, you don't want to monitor their screen and stuff like that, well, then at least you can tell them to check in and check out with you whenever they're going to work or stop working. So when they start working, check in. If you're going to go on lunch or something, okay, just let me know. That way you can at least keep track of them a little bit better that way.
Something that I highly recommend, because you're right, I'm talking about dozens of staff, right? But most people start with one or two. To get a paid Zoom account, it's only about $15, and be connected with the virtual assistant through video all day long. Even if you don't talk to him for 3 or 4 hours, you're just connected there on your screen. You can just click on mute. Hey, Joe, how is this project going? You know, that way you make sure that he's sitting in front of his computer, and if you need him right away, you just unmute yourself.
Yeah, so obviously to check that they're doing their work, but it's also definitely very helpful for speeding up the communication and the execution. If somebody's just like right there virtually, almost as if they were sitting right there next to you, it just makes everything very seamless and you'll get better products that way. So Zoom or Skype, at least a few hours a day continuously, or all day long during your workday hours. Okay, and do we have any tips on how to best train virtual assistants?
Well, what has worked for me is a few things. One, teaching them through video calls, staying connected with them for weeks. Okay, this is how you do this is how you do this. You give them tasks. If they mess up, you show them how to do it correctly. Also, again, depending if it's something more technical, you'll get some training courses. You can buy some cheap training courses or free videos like on YouTube and give them a bunch of training. Follow up with them and have them explain to you, what did you learn? How can you use this? Because it could be that they watched the whole training video and they only got 10% of what they were supposed to get. So training videos, staying connected with them and sending them to websites or blogs so they can keep learning. And then at the end of the day, you can tell if they're performing good or if they're messing up, or also to get in very good communication with them. So if they don't understand something, they can express that to you, because some of these people have a little holdback on communicating certain things. They might feel like they're gonna get in trouble if they ask you a question because they're supposed to know it, right? So you just being very open with them and transparent, and then the rest is easy.
And what I recommend is you can use a software like Loom, which is a screen recorder. So anytime that you want to explain something to them to help you with, the best thing to do is show them. So you make a Loom video, you show them, hey, this is how you do this is how you do that. And then you can start to build a training library out of these videos. So let's say every time you need to show somebody how to do something in Excel, or how to do this contract, or how to set up this Facebook campaign or something like that, right? You start to build build out these little like folders, training videos about each subject. Then let's say your original virtual assistant leaves, or you got to fire them because you don't work well, whatever the case is, you got to hire more people. You already have there a library of training that somebody could just sit down, watch your videos, and learn how to do the job, and you'll get them there a lot faster than the first person. So I think that's it, right, guys? Or do you have anything?
No, just when we hire on the attitude and the personality and their communication skill more than their technical skill, okay? Because it's easier to teach someone something like a technical thing than to teach them how to express themselves or handle communication or how to have the attitude of figuring it out, breaking through barriers and making it go right. If you have like a negative person, no matter how skillful they are, you're gonna have a hard time.
Yes, I agree with all that. Good. So if there's any questions that we missed, let us know in the comments. If there's anything else that you want us to cover in regards to working with virtual assistants and remote staff, let us know. We'll make some more upcoming videos in regards to this subject. Thanks. See you on the next one.